my name is Mark Callahan. I am the Regional Director for Text Help. So I'm responsible for supporting Kentucky educators and students, and I'm really grateful for the chance to present to you today. I am Cincinnati-based, and COVID has meant that I'm doing a lot of remote training and visits, but we're getting back into traveling. And Kathleen had invited me to your PD event several months ago, so that was great to get out. This is my contact information. I am the person responsible for supporting your Read and Write and Equatio district license, which provides premium access to both solutions for all Jefferson County students, teachers, administrators, instructional staff, etc. And then Tina Shea Blanchett is, she's amazing. She is a former math teacher. She is our professional development specialist who is tasked with training on Equatio. And the session she gave yesterday just kind of blew me away. Every time I get a chance to see Tina Shea present, I learned something new. So I wanted to share her contact information. And then this is the most important link right here at the top. It's the link to today's slides. So if you go to this link, text.help, the / lowercase eq, and then capital JCPS. Thank you, Kathleen. That's going to give you access to a ton of slides. Now, I have skipped most of the slides today because as soon as Tina Shea joins, like I want her to dive right into this for you. So most of the slides, when you open this up, they're going to be skipped, but you're going to have access to her resource doc, which is amazing.
And I'm here, Mark. I didn't want to interrupt. I just want to let you know that I got it.
Tina Shea. That's awesome. Hey, Tina Shea has done an amazing job on these get to know Equatio activities, and she's done them for both elementary, middle, and high. And then we also have, if you do any kind of assessment in Google Forms, we've got a number of templates and videos to go with that. Now, Equatio is a solution that really, now that most districts are one-to-one, it's designed to advance how math and STEM is both taught and learned one-to-one. Okay, we've got many different platforms. Your district is Google-based, so you have access to Equatio for Google to use inside the G Suite. And then today, Tina Shea is going to talk about Equatio MathSpace, and this is an amazing resource. Now, your colleague, Jackie, had shared with me some screenshots, and I really think this is important. So she was able to demonstrate how you can use Equatio within both Gale and ThinkCirca. I know those are two of the resources, so these are the Gale resources on top, ThinkCirca on the bottom. Just wanted you to see that so you can realize that there's a lot to do. I'm going to jump out of the demo here. And then let's see, I need to stop sharing my screen. So Tina Shea, you can start sharing yours.
I'm sorry, I turned off my mic, my camera, not my mic. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear. Thanks, Tina Shea.
Okay, so you can see my screen now?
Yes.
All right, well then I will go ahead and get started. So I am actually looking for the chat, and maybe I'm unable to see the chat. Are you able to see the chat, Mark? Okay, so if I ask a chat question, can you just kind of tell me what's happening there? Okay, so I want to get a sense of who is on this webinar right now. So if you can just do a quick chat blast, let me know what grades and subjects you teach. If you're not a teacher, then tell me what your role is and who you support. So I just always like to get that information before I start so that I can customize our session to your needs. I know that we're doing Equatio for elementary. I just wanted to make sure that that's what we have here today. All right, sounds good. So that link that Mark shared with you, I want to highlight this link because everything that I talk about here today is going to be kind of fast paced. We only have about 20 minutes remaining, but I want to make sure that you know where you can go to learn more about Equatio after today's session. So this link, text.help/EQ resources, is your one-stop shop for all things Equatio. Now, you already know me. My name is Tina Shea, and I'm a professional development specialist. So let's talk about Equatio. I want to make sure that everyone understands exactly what Equatio is. Equatio at its core is a really powerful equation editor. Now, as elementary teachers, you may or may not be familiar with what an equation editor is. It's basically a tool that we use to get mathematical and scientific notation into our files and documents. So when you're doing things in elementary courses such as, long division or just multiplication, fractions. These are the kinds of things that don't live on your keyboard, and so you need a tool like Equatio to help to get those types of expressions into your files and documents. Now, what we like to say about Equatio is that we have a 360-degree approach to doing math and science. So when you use a typical equation editor, like the one that's built into Microsoft Word or Google Docs, the focus is usually right here on getting that math notation. And while Equatio does a really great job with this specific functionality, because we have so much more to offer, we can go beyond this and get into the terminology that we want our students to learn, as well as the underlying concepts we want them to deeply understand. Now, today we're going to take a look at Equatio MathSpace. Equatio MathSpace is a really great version of Equatio, particularly for elementary, because again, this really shows us what I just talked about, that 360-degree approach, where we're not just focused on getting mathematical notation, but we'll have lots of additional tools like virtual manipulatives and shapes that we can use to really make this math more understandable and accessible for our students. Another great thing about MathSpace is that it doesn't require you to install anything on your computer. It is a web-based application, so all you have to do is visit the website and you're able to start using those Equatio tools right away. Another great thing about MathSpace is the sharing functionality that is built right in. So what that means is that not only can you create within MathSpace, but you can share what you've created with your students. Your students will be able to work within MathSpace as well and send their completed work to you, and you can grade it, you can give them feedback, and it just creates this really great collaborative and feedback-based paradigm shift for you and your students. So it is demo time. So I'm going to pause for a second and I'm checking in to see if everyone is okay with what Equatio is. Do we understand? Do we have any questions right now? I'm just checking to see if anything's coming in the chat. All right. So here's your link. This is the link to Equatio MathSpace. It is equat.io. So this is the link that you can put in your browser if you'd like to follow along with me. Otherwise, you're welcome to just kind of watch what I'm doing on screen. So equat.io is the link to MathSpace that I am going to visit. So let me go ahead and do that now. And when you visit the MathSpace link, there is a sign-in page. So you want to just sign in with a work account, like your work Google account or your work Microsoft account. Please try not to sign in with a personal Gmail account, because if you sign in with your school account, even if you don't already have an Equatio account, it will go ahead and automatically give you a free 30-day trial of your premium functionality, which I want to demonstrate here today. Once you're all signed in, then you want to click on the little plus sign so that you can create a new space. So you're ready to follow along with me when you see the screen that looks like mine, looks like a grid. Now, here in MathSpace, you can see that we have the full screen that we can work with, and we have lots of different tools at the bottom of the screen that we can utilize. Now, what I want you to recognize is that there are different versions of Equatio. So before we start using MathSpace, I'm going to go back to my slides because I want to make sure that you're aware of all of the different ways that Equatio can be used in addition to MathSpace. So although we're talking about MathSpace today, Equatio is available across a total of 5 different platforms. So starting with Equatio for Google. If I have anyone here who has used Equatio, then it's highly likely that this is the version that you've used. Equatio for Google is a Chrome extension that runs on the Chrome browser on any laptop or desktop device. When you're using Equatio for Google, you'll have access to Equatio across Google Drive. That includes Google Docs, Forms, Slides, Sheets, and Drawings. And because you're a Google district, then you definitely want to make sure that you get this installed as well. It is the very first link on your resource doc. So if you don't already have Equatio, then you can go ahead and install it. We also have Equatio for Office 365. So if you're a Microsoft Word online user, then this is the version of Equatio that you would use. And this also runs through the Chrome extension. So if you have the Equatio Chrome extension, it works both with Google Drive and Office 365. For Microsoft Word users who are using the installed version of Microsoft Word, you'll need Equatio for Desktop. Equatio for Desktop is available for Windows and Mac devices. And then we also have Equatio for LMS. Equatio for LMS integrates with several learning management systems, including Canvas, D2L, Schoology, Blackboard, and Moodle. But let's get back to MathSpace. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of all of the different places that we can use Equatio. And I'll also make sure I highlight here what tools that we're using in MathSpace that are available across all the different versions of Equatio versus the tools that are unique to MathSpace. So starting with the equation editor, when I click on my Sigma button or the equation editor, it brings up a place where I can compose mathematical notation. And so one of my favorite features within the equation editor is a feature called prediction. And what prediction means is that instead of having to kind of piece together what I need, I can type in what I want and it will show up for me. So for example, lots of elementary teachers teaching area and volume. So if I type in the word area, look at how all these area formulas are automatically popping up for me. So rather than me having to type it, I'm able to just type in the word and then it automatically comes up for me. I can also do this for volume. So if I type in volume, look at all my volume formulas that are coming up. Some other things that you may want. So I'm typing in, let's see. I'm typing in perimeter. That's another one that we tend to do at the elementary level. Speaking of elementary, I want to make sure that you see some items that I know are going to be useful for you, such as addition. Now, when I click on addition, I'm not just talking about a plus sign, right? Look at these templates that are coming up for me. I have a template for 2-digit vertical and 3-digit vertical addition. Look at that. So it's giving me the space to not only type in the problem, but also to carry, right? I can also put in my solution, and we have these templates for all 4 operations. So if I go in here and I type in long division, and it will bring up a template for long division for me. Another favorite of mine is partial products. So if you're ever teaching the area model of multiplication, we even have a template in there for this as well, okay? So the feature that I'm demonstrating for you right now is a feature called prediction. Now, after today's session, I want to invite you to go to page 3 of the resource document. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull that up because I want to make sure you know where to go. When I'm showing prediction, a lot of times folks want to know, well, what's in prediction? Like, is there a place where I can see everything in prediction? And the answer is yes. If we go down to page 3 of the resource document, it's under equation editors right here, prediction and speech commands list. So when I click on that link, text.help. Let me see, I can pull up that slide for you. And it's also in the slides that Mark shared with you as well. So they do have this link, okay? But there it is. Mm-hmm. All right, got it? All right. So I just wanted to show you that after today's session, you'll be able to go back and learn more about what's available in prediction. And it is a lot, okay? So that's one of my favorite features. Let me show you another one of my favorite features. I'm going over to the pencil button. This is handwriting recognition. So handwriting recognition, I believe, is one of the most powerful features of Equatio. It really does help students and teachers to do math in a way that makes the most sense to them. I can't imagine how difficult it would be for an elementary student to have to use a traditional equation editor to try to get notation like this. So I understand how teachers have probably struggled, particularly math teachers, during the pandemic when they had to teach their students remotely. But then the kids really struggle with using an equation editor to get that mathematical notation into those digital files. And so Equatio does a really great job at providing this type of functionality that makes it much more intuitive and natural for kids to do math in a way that makes the most sense to them, but then still have it translated into mathematical notation that can easily be shared on any digital platform. Now, something that you'll notice is that I have a mistake right here and interpret it as 2/0. I have lots of different ways that I can fix that mistake. I have an undo button right here, but you know what? I don't feel like using my undo button because that means I'll have to undo quite a bit of what I've already written. Another option, and this is something for experienced users that you may not have known, that I can just scratch this out. So I'm just going to scribble through it and I can write it again. So that's one of my favorite features. A lot of times folks don't know about this. If you want to erase within handwriting, just scribble through it and you can write it again. But another thing for you to pay attention to is the fact that I have a full equation editor over here. So I could have just gone over here and edited this directly. And this is a feature we call multimodal input, another really powerful Equatio feature. Multimodal input means that although I am writing on the left, I still have access to my full equation editor on the right that I can use to go in here and make whatever changes I want to make. I can also use the functionality of the equation editor in combination with other tools. So I wrote this problem, but I really want the forms of 1 to stand out in this fraction addition problem. So I'm going to use another equation editor feature, color. So I can highlight something in my equation editor and then this little paint bucket becomes available and I will make those forms of 1 red so that they really stand out for my students. And then once I've done that, I can go ahead and click on Insert Math, and it will take what I've done in my equation editor and insert it into my math space. Now, I do want to pause and make sure that you really pay attention to that Insert Math button. This is a super important button that you will see in every version of Equatio. Basically, Insert Math is how you take whatever you've done here and get it into your file. So today we're doing it in Math Space, but you may do it in Google Drive. You may be looking at a Google Doc. You may be looking at a Word document. Regardless of what version of Equatio you're using, that Insert Math button will always be the one that you use to get things into your file. Next tool I want to show you is speech input. So this one is really cool. Let's just give it a try. Y equals the square root of 17/10 minus 11/5 plus 22 squared. Hey, stop. Please stop that. Don't hit her. Minus 11 sine of 35 degrees, right? So I don't know if you noticed what just happened, but even when I was interrupted and I said something that was not, it's my favorite thing. So I want you to know that it doesn't pick up what you say that's not mathematical. And as elementary teachers, you definitely need to know about this because you will get interrupted. Or you'll have a bunch of kids in a classroom together and they're, one kid is trying to use speech input and another kid is talking about something totally unrelated. So it really does its best to kind of distinguish between what you say that's mathematical and what's not. But I said square root and it gave me a 2 here. I didn't want that 2. So I still have access to multimodal input here. So if I need to clean this up afterwards, I can do that as well. Now I want to make sure that before we run out of time, I demonstrate this tool, Equatio Mobile, because this is a really powerful tool for us to use. So I'm clicking on Equatio Mobile and let me just tell you how it works. This is something that can be utilized on your smartphones. You can use it on an iPhone or an Android phone or your tablets. And I know at the elementary level, we probably have lots of tablets, right? Lots of iPads. We also can use this on Android tablets. So the way it works is you're just visiting a link. So the first thing you want to know about mobile is that it's not an app. It doesn't require you to install anything on your device. You're just visiting this URL, or you can scan this QR code, which will take you to the URL. Now I'm going to click through so that you can see how it looks on screen. And I'm going to sign in with Google. The sign-in step is super important. Make sure that you're signing into mobile with the same account that you signed into MathSpace with. That's how the connection is made, okay? Now, we just got a big update with with mobile, where you can now create a new document. Before, it was only connected to documents you already had open. But if you wanted to bookmark the mobile link on your phone, then you could scan something with your phone and then automatically create a new document with this. So this is a pretty exciting update. I'm going to go to active documents since I do have an active math space available right now. So I'm clicking on that and let's see if it's going to let me use my camera today. Yay, hello. All right, so you may have noticed that we also had handwriting recognition and speech input available on mobile. That's so that you can use the touch screen and the mic on your mobile device. But something that is only on mobile is this, the ability to take a picture of some math. And today I'm doing a single math problem, but you can do this with a page full of math problems as well. This is another big thing that just came with the new update. And that's pretty exciting because it's going to save you a lot of time in having to digitize math that you have offline. So I'm going to crop this down and I'm going to save it as math, and it converts it over to math type for me. And then I insert that into my math space. And there it is. Okay.
This is so awesome.
Thank you. I have to tell you that this is a game changer, because think about all the time that teachers have lost in the past couple of years, having to take all those things that they're accustomed to doing on the chalkboard, on the whiteboard, in the workbook, through the textbook, right? All of those things they've had to recreate online. What would it have meant if they had access to a tool where they could just literally take a picture of it and have it instantaneously converted over to editable math type that they could share with their students in Google Classroom or whatever online tools they're using? So for me, if I have 5 minutes with teachers, I have to make sure that we at least talk about this. Now, go ahead.
We have a question in the chat. So can you take a picture of a whole page, which is, I think, what you just did, right? I think that's what you mean in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that this feature is still in beta, so it's not like in its final iteration yet. So it may not work as well as you want it to quite yet, but that's the goal. So right now you should be able to scan a page full of problems, but just keep in mind that because it's in beta, that functionality is still being kind of tweaked, right? But that's the end game, is that pretty soon you'll be able to just pull out, a printed worksheet or a page in a textbook or a page in a workbook, and you'll be able to just scan the whole thing. And right now we have the ability to push it to a math space, but what's coming is that you'll also be able to push it to a Google Doc or a PDF. Did I answer your question? Okay, so I know we only have 5 minutes remaining, so I'm going to take 2 more minutes before I know Mark is going to hop on and kind of wrap things up. But I want to make sure that you see this, elementary teachers. So this is a kind of thing that you can do in math space, okay? What I've done here is I've used the smart shapes. So these 4 buttons, the select tool, the freehand drawing, which I use to circle the forms of 1, the shapes. And make sure you take the time to look at the shapes, because there are a lot in there. Lots of virtual manipulatives in here for elementary school. We have pattern blocks. We have, we have counting rods, base 10 blocks, tens frames, coins, tangrams. All of your geometric shapes are in here. But what I did is I used the feature called the smart shapes, where we have shapes that are customizable. And so I just wanted you to see an example of what's possible with MathSpace. Getting back to that 360-degree approach to doing math, where instead of just focusing on getting this math notation, we have a suite of tools that we can use to create these visuals. And when I create a visual like this is helping my students to understand. But imagine what it means when you have a student who can create a visual like this. Now they're showing that they have that deep conceptual understanding and that they're not just memorizing algorithms. Now, lastly, when you create something like this, of course, you want to know, how do I get it to my students? So I will click on the share button. And for free, you can make a copy for each person. But if you have a license for your students, then you can make a copy for each person and they can respond to you. And here's what it looks like. Now, when I have students working on a math space, I can go in here and I can see what they've done. So here's an example where I did a place value activity, right? And not only have I been able to receive that work from my students, but I could also give them feedback. So in this case, I gave the student a 100. I said, great. And I gave them a Bitmoji sticker. And then I can go to the next student. And it's really quick and easy for you to be able to go through and see what your students have done and give them feedback. Now, I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, so I want to remind you that you can go to that resource document, and at the bottom of page 3, everything that I've talked about in detail is covered under Equatio MathSpace. And I want to invite you to make sure you take a look at those MathSpace examples so that you can see what's possible with MathSpace.
This was perfect. Thank you so much. We will add we will definitely add that resource to our YouTube channel when we go and break up the videos. So this is a perfect short explanation of this fabulous tool. And I love how you said that, how you showed us how the students can also create, right? That's what we want. We want the students creating too. I'm looking in the chat. I don't see any questions, just a lot of excitement. And especially from our team, we really are excited to keep pushing this tool out and how we have availability to it district-wide. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Mark, did you want to add anything?
Oh, we can't hear you, Mark.
Sorry about that. I just want to, we are blessed to have Tina Shea as part of Text Help, and she is an amazing resource. So the one thing that I would like everyone to know is that if you have any questions at all, contact information is within the slides that we shared with you today. Please don't hesitate to reach out. This is a district-wide resource. So Equatio for Google Chrome, and then Equatio MathSpace are resources that are available for you to use today and with your students. And the resource doc that Tina Shea has shared with us is very extensive. With that said, we realize that you have a lot on your plate. If there is anything we can do to make it easier for you to understand how to best use Equatio with your students, please don't hesitate to reach out. We truly are here for you. We are your partner in education. And Kathleen, I know we're getting ready to start a second session, but I just wanted to say thank you for inviting us to present today. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we hope that we've provided you with some valuable information that you can take back to the classroom. So thanks so much.
Yes, thank you, 100%. And this is great information. And also remember, to our viewers, the Digital Innovation Team is here. We co-teach every single day. All 10 of us are out co-teaching, and this is another tool that we can use with you and your students and to show you and co-teach with you on a lesson. So keep that in mind when you're signing up for those co-teaches with us, that this Equatio is another tool in MathSpace that we can use. So we are so lucky that we get to have Text Help here again to talk about Equatio and how that can be utilized in the secondary, so our middle school and high schools. How can we use Equatio with those teachers? So I'll let you, Mark, go ahead. Are we going to do the same format as before?
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Great.
And then Kathleen, I'm going to turn it over to Tina Shea because I really do want her to have as much time with everyone.
Great. I'm excited to learn from you again, Tina Shea.
Thank you.
Hopefully everybody can see my slides. All right, perfect. So Equatio is a digital math editor, and we're going to talk about how you can use it to supercharge your math and STEM instruction. Now, my name is Mark Callahan. I'm the regional director for Text Help. So I am in charge of supporting Kentucky students and educators, and I am the person responsible for supporting your district for their district site license to both Equatio and Read and Write. And for both solutions, Jefferson County has purchased access for every student, every teacher, administrator, instructional staff member, etc. So you receive full access to both solutions. And if you should ever have any questions, this is how you would contact me directly to receive a prompt response. Today, I am so thrilled to have Tina Shea Blanchett joining us. She is a professional development specialist for Text Help, and her focus is on Equatio. And yes, Kathleen, I'd be happy to email you the slides. So the link that you're going to want to really kind of write down right now, or type it into your browser, is text.help, the \key, lowercase eq, and then capital JCPS. And if you type in, or if you write down this link, this is going to give you access not only to today's slides, but it will also give you access to a number of other valuable resources. This second link right here is one that Tina Shea is going to talk about in just a minute. But you should also know that Tina Shea has very thoughtfully curated some activities for Equatio that are broken up by elementary, middle, and high. So we'd love to have you take a look at that. And then if you're involved in doing any kind of a math assessment with Google Forms, then you definitely are going to want to check out the templates that we've created and also the videos. Now, the goal here is not for me to talk. I really want Tina Shea to jump in. the most important thing that you can know is that COVID has really made one kind of positive change, and that is that most schools and districts are either fully one-to-one or very close to it. And what that means is that we really want to show you how Equatio can help advance your math and STEM instruction in a one-to-one environment. Now, Tina Shea is going to talk a little bit about this. So Jefferson County is a Google-based district. So right now, you automatically should have access to the Google Chrome version of Equatio, and there'll be an icon in your toolbar when you open it up. And then Equatio Math Space is a web app, and that's what Tina Shea is going to demonstrate today. So another important thing for you to know, your colleague Jackie was kind enough to go into several resources that you use, so Gale and ThinkCirca, and she gave me some screenshots that show how you can use Equatio within these tools. And just love to have you see that so that you know that you can do more with it than just using it within the Google Suite. So now it's time for the demo. I'm going to stop sharing so Tina Shea can present. And Tina Shea, I'll turn it over to you. Yeah, I was afraid that my internet had died. Let's see.
Just a second. We're getting Tina Shea. I don't know. She maybe lost connection or something here.
Hold on just a second. She's calling me right now. So let's see. I'll be right. I'm so sorry, Kathleen and everyone. Tina Shea went to share her screen and her internet froze. So she is working to join us. So let me go back. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen again just so that you'll have some information to look at. And let's see, we'll go ahead and do that right now. Folks, one of the things that's exciting about Equatio is that it gives you multiple ways to input math. And so this is very important because one of the things that we think is most exciting about Equatio is that it can really help turn sort of like your passive learners into more active learners. Now, I've got a number of these slides that were skipped just because I wanted to have Tina Shea do as much talking as possible. But while we're waiting for her to connect back, let me go ahead and turn these slides back on. I'm going to go through and just give you a quick overview. And then I've also got a PDF pulled up. So if I need to do a demo for you, I can do that. So let me go up to present. All right, so the most important things that I want you to know, and there are 4 tools here that are really important. So the first is math and chemistry prediction. This is the symbol for the equation editor. You can draw math, and then you can also dictate math.
I apologize.
Oh, that's awesome.
Going and out when I shared, it just went out. I clicked on share and I got the timer thing.
Oh yeah, never good. It's okay. Technology, you know, it's been a weird Friday. We had some in the beginning as well, so you are just fine.
All right. So I am pulling up my slides, and while I'm doing that, I would like to ask, can you have folks, I always ask this question, who's here? So can you tell me in the chat or tell us in the chat what grade levels you work with, what subjects you teach? If you're not a teacher, what is
It's going to be one of those sessions, Kathleen. I apologize for the technical issues. So
It's okay.
Oh, this is one of those things where, as a presenter, you kind of have.
It just said I was removed from the meeting, and then I don't know what that was about.
Oh my goodness! Well, while you're getting back in, I think we had a question. It says Jackie wants to know. Hi, Mark and Tanisha. Do you know if our students can upload selected work in Math Space to our JCPS backpack? So if they have their work, is there a way for them to download that or save that in the drive? I believe
there is.
Absolutely. So as long as they can upload a file, right? They can export things that they do in MathSpace to a PDF or an image. So it just depends on what kind of file you want to have in their backpack. I'm assuming it's probably a PDF. Is that correct? So when they're doing something in MathSpace, they could just go to that Equatio button at the bottom left, and they have two options. They can download it as a PNG or download it as a PDF. Okay. Now, I'm not going to focus on MathSpace with this group because I know that there's a higher possibility with secondary that you're probably doing like Google Docs, Google Slides, that kind of thing. Did we get any feedback in the chat about who's here? All right, sounds good. Okay, so first thing I want to do is make sure you get this. This is a link that is super important no matter what happens for the next 20 minutes. I want to make sure that you have this link. It is text.help/EQ resources. So today's session is going to be pretty fast paced. So I want to make sure that you're not feeling like, oh no, I missed all of that. How am I supposed to get that? This is your one-stop shop. This is a 4-page document that has tons of information, including everything that I'm going to share with you today and much more. So the first question I have for you is, do you have Equatio? So based on what Mark said, I think that it is installed on every device on your domain. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, so it's already there. So then I'll skip. Okay. All right. Well, I'm thinking usually with secondary, they're probably the ones using Chromebooks and elementary using iPads. Is that correct? Well,
oops. No, we welcome teachers to use either one depending on what they're doing. So we are K-12 with Chromebooks, but we do have some one-to-one iPad middle schools.
Okay.
So yeah, mostly Chromebooks, but there are iPads for creation in the elementary, middle, and high levels as well.
Okay. All right. Well, for today, I'm going to focus on Equatio for Google. This is the one that you would use on those Chromebooks. Equatio for Google is a Chrome extension that runs on a Chrome browser on any laptop or desktop device. When you're using Equatio for Google, you'll have access to Equatio across Google Drive. So that includes Google Docs, Forms, Slides, Sheets, and Drawings. And Equatio for Google has a ton of powerful functionality, and we're going to take a look at some of it today. So getting into it, the first thing I want you to know is how to get whatever you've done with Equatio into your file. So today I'm using Equatio in Google Slides. So I'm clicking on my little blue Equatio button at the upper right. That's how I use the Chrome extension. And it'll bring up an Equatio menu at the bottom of my screen. Once I have gotten Equatio open, the first question that teachers ask me is, how do I get what I've done into my slide or my doc, whatever I'm working on? So I'm going to type, x to the 4th minus x. Okay. And I'm clicking on Insert Math. That is the important button, the button that you would use every single time you use Equatio, because I don't want it trapped here in my equation editor, right? I want it to be here in my file. So another thing that you may not know about Equatio that distinguishes it from other equation editors is the fact that we can select any of these items and we can edit it. So that's a really key difference between Equatio and everything else, is that you always have editable equations that you've created. So you can select something and click on Edit Math, and it will come right back into the equation editor. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about how to use the equation editor. So the equation editor is the Sigma button. It's the first button on the Equatio menu. When I click on this button, it gives me the ability to basically put whatever mathematical or scientific notation I want into my file or document in ways that are intuitive and simple, as opposed to what you're probably accustomed to, which is what we call a palette-based system, where we have to kind of pick and choose and piece together what we need. So the one feature I want to make sure you know about within the equation editor is a feature called prediction. Prediction means that a lot of the things that you need are already built in. So for example, I always like to show area and volume, because when I type in the word area, look at all of the area formulas that are showing up for me. If I type in the word volume, I get lots of volume formulas. And because I have high school folks here, if I scroll down, look at the other formulas I get. So this is not just for math, it is also for science. We have volume, mass, density, volumetric expansion of solids. So this can be super advanced. For trigonometry, if I type in sine, not only am I getting sine, but I'm also getting some trig identities. I can get my rules for calculus. I have the definition of a derivative. I can do integration, things like the chain rule. If you teach geometry, we have all of our symbols in here. So if you wanted to type like triangle ABC, you have that in there as well. So lots of things in prediction. Now, at this point, I know at least one of you is curious, well, what exactly is in prediction? Is there some place where I can see a list? And the answer is yes. So I'm going back to that resource document that I shared with you earlier, text.help/EQ resources. I'm scrolling down to the third page, and under equation editor, we have a prediction and speech commands list. So this is where you can go if you're ever curious about what is in prediction, and it is a lot, okay? So if I look at the math prediction items, you get all of your different symbols. You get your geometric symbols. We have probability in here. We have matrices, logarithms, lots of things. Your Greek letters are in here. And then if we go over to formulas, formulas is going to be really powerful, because you may have students who have the accommodation where they need to be provided with a formula list when they take an assessment. Well, those students have Equatio. So if they have prediction turned on, then they can simply type in what they need, and in most cases, it's going to show up. And you can see this is a pretty exhaustive list. We have lots of science formulas in here, physical science, physics, chemistry. We have pre-calculus, algebra, calculus, geometry formulas in here. And then when I go over to chemistry prediction is going to be your most robust prediction item set. We have the entire periodic table in here, and tons, and I mean tons of compounds. So I don't know if we have any chemistry teachers here today, but you want to make sure that you let your colleagues who do teach chemistry know that they have access to this powerful functionality. So I'm going back. We have talked about the equation editor. Let's skip over to handwriting recognition. So handwriting recognition is the little pencil button. And this is one of my favorite tools because it just allows us to do math in a way that makes sense, in a way that's more intuitive and straightforward than using a traditional equation editor. So when I do a problem like this, I'm just writing, and you can see that as I'm writing, it is converting it over to math type for me on the right-hand side of the screen. And so I love this functionality because it just makes it a lot easier for students who are required to do their math, maybe in Google Classroom or someplace else online. It just enables them to do it in a way that feels the most natural and comfortable, which is writing it. But then you don't have to deal with the handwriting as a teacher. You'll still receive that nice, clean math type that's really easy to, edit or make whatever changes you need to make to it. So that's handwriting recognition. Now, when I'm using handwriting, you'll notice that I also have my full equation editor on the right-hand side of the screen. So what this means is that I don't have to pick. I can use something called multimodal input, which means that not only do I have access to my handwriting tool, but I can swap and use my equation editor that's on the right as well. For secondary, I really like using this for complex notation. So let's say I'm doing a definite integral with my students. I can draw that integral symbol, but then I can go in here and I can just type the rest because the rest of it is really easy to type. It's that integral symbol that I would usually go to an equation editor for. Another example of this would be sigma notation. Right? So if I draw a sigma right now, it's just giving me the character. But as soon as I start adding to it, it says, oh, okay, this is a summation. And again, I can go over here and start typing. So handwriting recognition on its own is really powerful. When you combine it with the equation editor, it just gives you a really personalized experience where every person is going to figure out how to use Equatio in ways that make sense to them. Another tool I want to show you is speech input. So speech input is a really cool one. I click on this little microphone and I just start talking. Y equals the square root of 17 over 5 minus 11 squared plus 22 sine of 55 degrees. Pretty awesome, right? And we still have multimodal input. So I didn't say 2, I said square root. So I can go in here, get rid of that 2, and then click on insert math, and it will put that in there. So when you're using these different tools, just keep in mind that you always have the ability to go in here and make whatever changes you want to make. Now, another tool that's really awesome is Equatio Mobile. Now, I'm not going to have time to demonstrate it for you here today, but I do want you to see how powerful it is. Equatio Mobile requires you to visit a website. That's it. All you have to do is bring up this link on your mobile device, and you can use it to scan math problems. So right here, you're looking at a math problem that's being scanned that was written on paper, and it would automatically convert it over to math type for you. We just got a huge update to Equatio Mobile that allows you to do this for a page full of problems. So that's really awesome. So you can take all of those print resources that you've been holding on to that, you know, can be really difficult to convert over to digital math. And in a matter of seconds, you can have it accessible online for your students. Now, another tool that I'm going to demonstrate for you is bringing in something that we do all the time. Lots of teachers go out on the web and find pictures of math and science problems and then just paste them into their Google Docs, Google Slides, whatever. The issue with this is that when you go out on the web and you find something, the quality can be dubious, right? In this case, I tried to make this bigger and you can see it's starting to get a little pixelated on me. Also, this is not editable. If I wanted to make any changes to this, I'm not able to do it, except I have my screenshot reader. So I'm going to draw a box around this problem using my screenshot reader, and let's see what happens. Oh, let's try it again. Try it one more time.
(1.0 GH sub 2 of O sub 2 times the...
Now this is a screenshot reader, so you probably heard that it was reading it out loud. So this is a really powerful accessibility feature for students who need things read aloud to them. But also, I can click on these 3 dots, and I can click on Edit with Equatio, and just like that, I now have an editable version of this problem. So again, think about how powerful this is. Instead of you having to compose mathematical expressions, you can just do a quick Google search and find something on the web, and in a matter of seconds, you can have an editable math problem that you can share with your students digitally. So I'm going to stop.
And Tina Shay, if I could interrupt for a second. So in the slides that I shared in the beginning of the session, I mentioned that Jackie was kind enough to show pictures or screenshots of using Equatio within your Gale and Think Circa resources. So what if you're in the classroom and you're looking at one of those digital resources and there's a problem and you want to pull it up and have the students help you solve it right then and there? You would have the ability to use a screenshot reader to do just that. So just wanted to give a little highlight on how you might use that tool in the classroom or as you're doing your station rotation models.
Okay. I just wanted to check in and see if there were any questions in the chat right now. All right. And so some other things that I want to make sure that you're aware of, right? So we've talked about the equation editor. We've talked about handwriting recognition, speech input, Equatio Mobile, and the screenshot reader. Now, some other tools that you want to be aware of, we have a LaTeX editor in here. So those of you who are teaching, more advanced math courses, you may be using LaTeX with your students. So you want to know that we have that. This is a huge one. This is something that you may not be aware of, that the graph editor in Equatio is Desmos. This is a big deal because a lot of you are probably already using Desmos with your students. So through Equatio, you can bring those interactive Desmos graphs into your Google Drive files. So you can embed these interactive Equatio graphs into your Google Docs slides. You can embed them into your Google Forms. So I do want you to be aware of the fact that we have a really powerful graph editor available available within Equatio as well. We also have a scientific calculator as another Decimals tool under your STEM tools. So we have the scientific calculator, we have a periodic table that's interactive, and a 3D molecular viewer. So all of these really powerful tools are available within Equatio for Google. And then lastly, we also have Equatio MathSpace. Now, MathSpace is available on the web, so you can use it outside of Google Drive, but we also have the ability to insert math spaces into our Google Drive files. And so what you see on screen is an example of something that I created within Equatio MathSpace, including this graphic that's also built into MathSpace, so that I can create these visuals for my students. And even more powerfully, my students can create visuals like this and share them with me online. So I wanted to make sure that you kind of had a sense of what's possible within Equatio. And as Mark mentioned earlier, we have 5 different platforms across which Equatio is available. Equatio for Google, which is what we talked about today, is the Chrome extension. But remember that Chrome extension can also be integrated with Office 365. So when you're using the Chrome extension, not only can you use it within Google Drive files, but you can also use it within Microsoft Word Online, Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint Online, and OneNote. Now, if you're using Microsoft Word, the installed version on your computer, then you want to also install Equatio for Windows or Equatio for Mac. And that way you can use Equatio within those those Word documents and PowerPoints on Windows devices. Equatio MathSpace, we can use it within the Chrome extension, but it's also available out on the web at equatio.texthelp.com. And this is a web-based version of Equatio. So I really like using MathSpace when I don't want to have to install anything on my computer. I just want to be able to get straight to the functionality. So that's really powerful. And then lastly, we have Equatio for LMS, which is available for learning management systems, including Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, and Schoology. So we have just a few minutes remaining. So what I'd like to do is to get some feedback from you. Based on what you saw, what was your favorite tool that you learned about today? And while we're waiting on that chat to come in, I wanted to invite Mark if you wanted to hop on and add a little bit and wrap up.
Sure. So I think one of the most powerful things that I know about Equatio and then Equatio MathSpace as a companion is that they are designed to help you take your engagement level with students to the next level. One of the things that people are amazed by is the true functionality and what you can do. So here's the important thing. Tina Shea shared that document. It's the link to the Equatio resources. Now, here's what we know about teachers and also your digital innovation team. Everybody has a full plate. So I want to highlight a few things for you. We are your partner in education, and we are grateful for the opportunity to partner with JCPS. If there is anything that Tina Shea and I can do that makes it easier for you to understand how to use Equatio, we're there for you. And that includes providing one-on-one sessions if you need that. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is in the slide deck we've provided, we've got contact information for both Tina Shea and then myself. And I am Cincinnati based. I am always happy to jump on a phone call, to do a Google Meet, etc. We really want to make sure you're getting the full value out of this. Now, I want to go back up to the very first slide, or one of the early slides, and highlight these resources again. So you're going to have access to this slide deck. I shared it with Kathleen, so she will add it into the session resources. You can also access the slides right now by going to text.help, the / (EQ) and then capital JCPS. This is a link to the document that Tina Shea shared. So if you want to go in and see all the prediction that we have built in there, that was on the 3rd page. But there are so many other wonderful resources. Now, one thing that I am grateful that Tina Shea has done is she's curated some get to know Equatio activities, and they're perfect for you as an educator and your students. And she's broken them up by elementary, middle, and high. I would highly recommend that you spend a minute or two reviewing those resources. We also, if you are doing assessment in Google Forms, we have, I think there's like 40 Equatio templates, and it might be worth it for me just to click on this real quick so you can take a look and see what this looks like. So we've got videos that explain how to use Equatio in Google Forms. So you can create chemistry items using this. I thought I was, bear with me. I wasn't, Kathleen. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So here is the slide that I was talking about. So if you go to this, you'll have access to all these resources. And then here is the link I just clicked on to access the Google Form templates. So here is the spreadsheet. Let me increase the size on this a little bit to make it easier for you to see. So we've got a number of videos, and they're pretty extensive. So they'll walk you through the steps needed to do what you need to do. And then this is the summary of all the different Google Form templates that we've created. And there are a variety, hopefully, that will spark your interest as secondary math and STEM teachers. So please know that we've got a lot of resources there. Now, I just want to wrap up because we've got like 2 minutes. So you have an amazing resource in both Kathleen Receiver and her team, as well as Stacy Justice and Jackie. I want to highlight that they are fantastic ambassadors for Equatio and Read and Write. So if you don't know how to do something, I would definitely reach out to them. If you need to contact me on the fly or Equatio or Tina Shea, we're happy to always help out. So just know that we really do want you to get the most out of these resources. So we hope that you will take advantage of the resources we provided. And here's the other thing that's really important to know. We don't expect perfection. You're not going to have to know how to use everything. Just be aware that Equatio is available for you to use in the classroom. And then we had a session yesterday that we had a keynote featuring Catlin Tucker, who's written a book with Katie Novak on UDL. And once I have that link, I'm going to share that with Kathleen Receiver. I know you guys are figuring out how to incorporate her station rotation model into your daily instruction. Anything we can do to assist with that, we'd love to help out. Kathleen, a final thank you to you. Really grateful for the opportunity to present and share more information, not only about Equatio and Equatio Math Space, but then I've got 2 sessions this afternoon for Read and Write. So thank you very much for the invitation. If there is anything we can do to help you, just let us know.